Okay, so let's talk about a man named Kukai. If you know anything about Japanese history, you've probably heard of him. He was this incredible 9th century monk, a brilliant scholar, a master artist, just a giant of his time. But what if? What if that whole story, the one we all know, is just scratching the surface? We're about to dive into a modern book that makes an incredible claim, that Kukai's real mission wasn't just about Earth, it was cosmic.
So that's the big question, isn't it? Who was the real Kukai? Was he a brilliant man of his time? Or was he something more? Maybe even something not entirely of this world? That's the mystery we're digging into today.
You see, we have two very different versions of this one man. On the one hand, there's the monk of history, the founder of Shingon Buddhism, a cultural icon. But on the other hand, this book we're looking at paints a totally different picture. Kukai as a cosmic messenger, an architect of planetary energy, with a mission that goes way beyond our understanding of time and space. So how on earth does the author get there?
Well, here's where things get really interesting. You're probably asking, okay, where is this information coming from? And the answer isn't ancient scrolls or some new archaeological find. Nope. All these claims come from something the author calls a spiritual scan. It's their unique method for, well, reading spiritual information to find what they say are hidden truths. So just keep that in mind as we go forward, right? We're exploring a spiritual perspective here, not a history textbook.
So, first up, let's tackle one of the biggest points, Kukai's death, or what we thought was his death. This is where the official story and this spiritual reinterpretation really start to clash.
This right here is the book's core claim. The history books tell us Kukai died in the year 835, but this source says, nope, not even close. It claims he didn't die at all. Instead, he consciously chose to begin a process, a transformation into a whole new state of being.
And that process has a name, Nyujo. Now, according to this text, this isn't death as we know it. Think of it more like a frequency shift. It's a deliberate transition into a permanent state of meditation, where your consciousness is still totally active and aware, just operating on a different plane of existence.
So the big takeaway here is, if this is true, Kukai never left. His consciousness is supposedly still active, right now, working from his sanctuary on Mount Koya. And what's he doing? He's acting as a spiritual anchor, balancing the energy of the entire country. But this eternal meditation wasn't just some personal spiritual journey. According to the book, it was actually the next step in his real mission, which was to totally redesign the spiritual landscape of Japan and plug it directly into the cosmos.
The book gives this a name, the Orion System. The idea is just wild. It suggests Kukai deliberately arranged temples and other sacred sites all over Japan to perfectly mirror the stars in the Orion constellation. Then, he connected them with invisible energy lines, ley lines. And those beautiful, intricate mandalas he's famous for, they're not just art. They're actually maps of this entire cosmic grid.
I mean, think about that. This wasn't about decoration. The book is arguing that Kukai was a kind of spiritual geographer, creating this massive energy circuit by literally projecting a map of the heavens onto the earth, all in an effort to tune Japan to a higher spiritual frequency.
Which, of course, leads to a pretty big question. How would a monk from the 9th century even know how to do something like that? Well, the book's answer to that is probably its most mind-blowing claim of all.
And there it is. The book puts forward the idea that Kukai's soul wasn't originally from Earth. He was a star person, a consciousness from a more advanced cosmic civilization who incarnated as a human. And his mission? To help kickstart humanity's spiritual evolution.
One of the main tools he built for this mission, the book says, is the famous 88 temple pilgrimage in Shikoku. It argues this isn't just a religious walk, it's a purpose-built spiritual circuit. Each of these 4 stages, awakening, discipline, enlightenment, and integration, is designed to systematically cleanse and upgrade the consciousness of anyone who walks the path.
So how did he pull all this off? According to this source, it wasn't magic. It was a deep, fundamental understanding of what it calls the physics of the mind.
You know that key moment in Kukai's story, his morning star vision, where the planet Venus supposedly flew right into his mouth and gave him enlightenment? Well, this book takes that story and says it wasn't just a metaphor. It was a literal moment of complete fusion with cosmic consciousness. Him mastering the law of attraction, where his focus became so powerful it actually reshaped his own reality. This quote from the book really nails the whole philosophy. The central teaching from this cosmic version of Kukai is that consciousness is the ultimate creative force.
It's our inner world, what we believe, what we pray for, that truly builds the world around us.
But Kukai wasn't working alone. According to this spiritual scan, he was part of a dynamic duo, a spiritual super team, partnered with another absolute giant of Japanese history. And that partner was Prince Shotoku, who actually lived about 2 centuries earlier. The book claims they were working together across time, splitting the job of shaping Japan's destiny. Shotoku built the hardware, the government, the laws, the institutions, and then Kukai came along to install the software, the spiritual consciousness of the nation.
The implication of this is just staggering. It suggests that the history of Japan wasn't random at all. It was a carefully coordinated spiritual project, guided by these 2 souls, maybe over many lifetimes, all to fulfill a very specific destiny.
Okay, so let's bring it all back together. Let's compare the academic history with this spiritual scan by looking at the most explosive point of disagreement, how Kukai's life ended. Because the book drops one last, truly shocking bombshell. It asks the question, what if Kukai's exit wasn't a peaceful, voluntary meditation at all? What if he was actually murdered, assassinated, because his spiritual revolution was a threat to the political powers of his day?
And here you have it laid out side by side. The academic view is grounded in what we can prove, his lifespan, his trip to China, his incredible cultural legacy. And then you have the spiritual scan's view, an eternal consciousness, a soul from the stars, an architect of Earth's energy, whose life was cut short because his power was too threatening.
But even with that dramatic theory, the book's final message isn't one of defeat. It actually uses the idea of his murder to teach a spiritual lesson, that even if power can destroy a physical body, it can never, ever extinguish the truth that person represents.
And that really leaves us with a huge question to think about. What is history? Is it just a collection of facts we can prove with documents and artifacts, or is there also room for stories that challenge us, that make us wonder about our place in the cosmos? Whether you see Kukai as a man of history or a messenger from the stars, his story really forces you to decide where you draw the line between the world we can see and the one we can only imagine.